Oki nistawana go kapi sumahaka. In English, it's Running Coyote, and I'm also known as William Singer III. And I reside here on the Kainai Nation, and I live in the Bullhorn area. So, so going back to about maybe 4 years back, the college is one of the first institutions I started to work with where they develop an action plan, and so through the TRC they had all of these things they wanted to start fulfilling, and one of them was our inclusion of our knowledge in the system there, because they're two separate. And one of the things that I was tasked with there was to initially it was some artwork. So I'm an artist as well, and they commissioned some artwork, and then that artwork has a lot of different symbolism and meaning into that. So since then so I've helped them develop the Iskini Kuliwal, and so from there, so we've got this ongoing relationship where they're, having that out there really shows, our knowledge, and that our knowledge is not contained within a building. Our knowledge is more than just sitting in a classroom. Traditional knowledge involves being outside, whether it's wind, rain. It's all a part of the knowledge, and through all of that, that's you're immersed in it. And when you're in a classroom, you're really not. The main thing for me is to heal it. And one of the things about that is there's a lot that goes with that. So then I started back in 2020, I think it was, or 2021. The city of Lethbridge invited me to go speak at their home and garden show. Yeah. So at first I hesitated. I found it strange, and then they explained it to me, and they started talking to me about what they're doing in terms of reconciliation. So the group that puts together that home and garden show felt that there should be have a First Nations representation in there. So they had me do a presentation on the traditional ways of we didn't really garden in those days, but other than harvesting, but also to also show that the plants that grow wild and that we still use don't need that much water. They're drought hardy, tolerant. And so after that, we had some discussions with the city, and so they would like to obtain plants from me. So what they're starting to move into right now is to start, rewilding some of these locations that are out there. And that work has begun. So I also do work with the Helen Schuler Nature Center. So next year they didn't have time earlier this year. It was we're gonna do a presentation on pollinators. So from there it just started to really open a lot of doors for a lot of even the Interfaith Food Bank. I've used them at one point when I was a student. So we're working together now where they've developed an indigenous garden. Other places are asking for that. So lately I've been going to schools outside and around Lethbridge, doing a presentation or having a class on Blackfoot science. Yeah, so in reality, a lot of the work that is done traditionally is all based on Blackfoot science. So basically, the school called that on me, but they call me a science teacher. But basically, that's what we do. So I teach at Opagutsin Early Intervention, and Opagutsin means all children. So we have a lot of they work with a lot of the different agencies in the city. So from there, it's given me the opportunity to work with these other agencies that are working towards inclusion. And so earlier today, my brothers were sitting in here, and we're having a discussion. about reconciliation. And so the question I was asked, why is this? Why do people ask of this and want to know? I told them, well, a lot don't know how to approach it. Don't know how to, I guess, I don't know, maybe say sorry or something. They don't know how to approach it. They told me, and that's something that, I could see really hard for, someone that doesn't live here, an outsider, to try to read. It's hard. I told them, but the work that I'm involved in is that we're creating these understandings of each other. That we've been here long enough. We should really know about each other. We know about the Western world, so now it's us to start. It's up to us now to carry on and just keep going and work together and just start sharing knowledge. You can never actually put them together, but you can work within them, and so that's something that we're working on. So so with the Apokas and the teachings they're doing, it's really creating a lot of other areas in terms of the work I'm doing. So with Opokas, and they're partnered with me here, so they have the garden here, their garden bed. They have garden beds in the school, so the children are being taught how to be horticulturists. The greenhouse back here will have a section for them. So, and even with that too, there's the interest in that is like other like non-native schools, and these are same thing. They're preschool, so it's 3-year-olds to 5-year-olds I work with, and I have an after-school class. It goes up to 8-year-olds, I believe, or 7. I just so I have 5 classes. So each of those classes are basically to teach the kids. But what the interesting part of it is that they're learning things that you only learn in post-secondary or high school, which is so when you get into high school, then you start learning about horticulture, agriculture, and same with you can get degrees and whatever PhDs in it, but what is not really known is like what our type of horticulture. So, and since we're moving into that horticultural phase, and the kids are being the ones that are actually doing a lot of the work, because they're the ones that are planting the seeds. They're the ones that will be that will be left. What this Nabi's garden is for. So aside from creating these relationships with our allies, sometimes they'll say settlers. I prefer ally. So a lot of them have partnered with me, and they have come to help. And so that's that whole thing, where we. And so when we do work together, there's always that learning process we both go through. Gives us a better understanding. So even with the greenhouse, it's through Parks Canada, Waterton, and that was a partnership that was sort of same thing. They want to start working even more with reconciliation. They've got an interpretive center, but they want to start getting more, and so they want to start supporting the work we're doing. But we've been partnered for about 2 years already. And prior to the greenhouse that's being built now, one was supposed to be built in 2020, but it fell through. So, in the initial news of that, the Parks Canada, a couple of the work staff were present, and they showed enthusiasm because they came forward and said, to work with them growing seeds and help restoring areas, like in the mountain parks, so, and that was something that, I was looking forward to, but it never happened. So last year, the same individuals, they came forward, Kimberly Pearson and Rob Sissons, and they said that they came across some funding for a greenhouse. So then we started through all the paperwork. Then it happened because, it's 3 years. I waited 3 years and it's not happening, and that was really holding me back in terms of, so now with the greenhouse, then we can start building that capacity. So, and that is really, it's good. I like it because, so people will have a, second look, or if they even notice what's growing there, because it doesn't look like what you buy in a store. It's totally different. It's almost like a native person. You have to take another look at. But So having those particular plants available will also help the individual. So let's say the city of Lethbridge will want to grow wild yarrow, common yarrow. So that can be grown, and it can also be used as an insect repellent. A band-aid from the leaves, or you could even get you can even make it into a tea. You know, how people could begin to learn to help themselves, decolonize. And that's what the focus of the work that we do here. So a lot of it is, even down to what, when our volunteers come, we eat really traditional. So it's a soup, you know, it's usually with bison. And so then we use like, my nephew, Leighton, he's a chef. So originally I used to do all the cooking, but with the way things have been picking up, he took over. I just give him the ingredients. He makes a really awesome soup. So the whole thing with like reconciliation, the big part of that will be really like beneficial is the plants that they're gonna grow, the plants that are around, because with those plants, when people will start seeing them and not knowing that they've always been there, it's kind of like saying, you know, the same with us. We've always been here, you know, and so this, and with that, this can help you, you know, this can, you know, whatever. And that's the whole other part of it. Yeah, it's not just plants they're receiving a story. So that's you know, that's the reconciliation. The bottom line for what Napi's Garden also will be is a place where people can come. It'll be a destination to come and unwind. So like with the youth camps I had earlier this summer, they were quite successful. So I had a total of 4 day camps. So we're looking into starting ours next year. So those will be day and evening camps. And it even extends to like off-reserve organizations. So for instance, AHS, they were here in wasn't last year, in 2021. They were here and they had a meeting. Yeah, so the ladies are sitting here, like it was comfortable. Like they're all sitting here and they had chairs and they had a meeting, and I cooked them a meal. And so they asked, you know, if they can come do it again. I said, well, yeah. I told them, you know, I'd like to have a building, you know, to do that stuff in. So then not too long after, the school booked us and they came out for the day. And that same feeling was there. So they came out and same thing, they had a meal, they met, you know, they talked over things. And so they also show interest in coming out for a retreat. So that's something that we're also doing, because with that, you know, there's a lot of non-natives that are, so if you see the photos on Instagram, a lot of those people work on different capacities, teachers, naturalists, like with CPAWS, Old Man Watershed Council. So a lot of them, their participation is with their reconciliation. Like they want to learn, you know, so they're making their way up to, you know, to here, to learn. And that's the other thing too, you know, so there's so much, like these plants bring people together, and that's what will really help, like with reconciliation, and that's the root of what's happening. Yeah, the result.